Two forms of foodborne illness. What are the two forms? Infection and intoxication. How many forms are involved in foodborne illness? Two types of forms. First is infection, second is intoxication. Infection means illness caused by eating food that contains pathogenic organisms, and intoxication, illness caused by toxins produced by pathogenic organisms. Pathogenic organisms, bacteria, parasites and viruses. Illness caused by eating food that contains the pathogenic organisms, and illness caused by toxins produced by pathogenic organisms. Fat term. Fat term means 6 factors that affect the growth of microorganisms. How many factors that affect the growth of microorganisms? 6 factors that are included under fat term. First is food. Bacteria reproduces food that is rich in proteins and carbohydrates. Example: meats, dairy products, poultry and eggs. Proteins and carbohydrates: meats, dairy products, poultry and eggs. Second factor is acidity. Mostly bacteria cause foodborne illness grows rapidly in acidic environment. pH is 4.6 to 7. But in highly acidic foods like tomatoes and citrus, bacteria can't grow. So most of the bacteria can grow in acidic environment that have the pH of 4.6 to 7. 4.6 to 7. What is the pH range? 4.6 to 7. But bacteria can't grow or can't multiply in highly acidic environment or highly acidic foods like tomatoes, citrus, pickles, etc. Proper time for growing of bacteria from one single bacterium cell to more than 1 million cells within 5 years. Bacteria require a time of 5 years to grow from one single bacterium cell to more than million bacterium cells. Temperature: bacteria grow rapidly in temperature danger zone. That is the range of 41 degree Fahrenheit to 135 degree Fahrenheit or 5 degree Celsius to 65 degree Celsius. Temperature danger zone: 41 degree Fahrenheit to 135 degree Fahrenheit or 5 degree Celsius to 65 degree Celsius. The fifth type of component or fifth type of fat term is oxygen. Anaerobic bacteria only grow without oxygen, and aerobic bacteria need oxygen to survive. Moisture. Sixth component under fat term is moisture. When moisture increase, moisture content increase, bacterial growth will also be increased. Time and temperature are the most important factors of fat term. Time and temperature work together and we can control them by keeping hot foods hot and cold foods cold. So what are the two factors that is most important under fat term? Time and temperature, that work together and we can control time and temperature by keeping hot foods hot and cold foods cold. So what are the 6 factors under fat term that affect the growth of microorganisms? Food acidity, proper time, temperature, oxygen and moisture. Food handlers hygiene. Poor personal hygiene can contaminate foods by poor hand washing techniques, gastrointestinal illness and infected lesions. So poor personal hygiene can contaminate the foods by poor hand washing techniques, gastrointestinal illness. Which type of illness? Gastrointestinal and infected lesions. Then moves to some bacteria or viruses, their spreading technique, their disease symptoms and their CDC estimates. So first is E. coli. E. coli is a bacteria spread by fecal matter, ground beef, contaminated vegetables, poor food handlers hygiene. Listeria spread by raw milk, time and temperature abuse in lunch meats, contaminated baked lettuces, poor food handlers hygiene. Shigella bacteria spread by poor food handlers hygiene, fecal matter and flies. Norwalk virus is spread by ill food handlers, poor personal hygiene, contaminated shellfish. So last is hepatitis A virus, fifth, poor personal hygiene and contaminated water. E. coli is spread by fecal matter, ground beef, contaminated vegetables, poor food handlers hygiene and raw milk, poor food handlers hygiene. Listeria is spread by raw milk, time and temperature abuse in lunch meats, contaminated baked lettuces, poor food handlers hygiene. Raw milk, contaminated baked lettuces, time and temperature abuse. In case of E. coli, fecal matter, ground beef, contaminated vegetables. And in Shigella bacteria, fecal matter and flies and poor food handlers hygiene. Fecal matter and flies, Shigella. Norwalk virus, ill food handlers, poor personal hygiene, contaminated shellfish. Contaminated shellfish under Norwalk virus, hepatitis A virus, contaminated water, and poor personal hygiene. Then bacteria or virus, their disease symptoms: E. coli, abdominal pain, vomiting, bloody diarrhea, kidney failure. Listeria, nausea, vomiting, infection of bloodstream, miscarriage in pregnant women. Miscarriage in pregnant women is caused by which type of bacteria? Listeria. Shigella bacteria, abdominal pain and diarrhea. Norwalk virus, violent nausea and diarrhea. Hepatitis A virus, jaundice and liver inflammation. So E. coli causes abdominal pain, diarrhea, vomiting, bloody diarrhea, abdominal pain, vomiting, bloody diarrhea. Bloody diarrhea is caused by which type of bacteria? E. coli. And kidney failure. Listeria, nausea, vomiting, infection of bloodstream and miscarriage in pregnant women. Shigella bacteria, abdominal pain and diarrhea. Norwalk virus, violent nausea and diarrhea. Hepatitis A virus, jaundice and liver inflammation. Next, their CDC estimates. E. coli, foodborne cases annually: 1,73,107, hospitalizations 2,785, deaths are 78. Listeria, foodborne cases annually: 2,493, hospitalizations 2,298, deaths 499. Shigella bacteria, foodborne cases annually 89,648, hospitalizations 1,246 and deaths 14. Norwalk virus, foodborne cases annually 9 crore 2 lakh, hospitalizations 20,000 and deaths 124. Hepatitis A virus, foodborne cases annually 4,170, hospitalizations 90 and deaths 4. So maximum in case of Norwalk virus, that is 9 crore 2 lakh, hospitalizations 20,000 and deaths are 124. And more highest deaths in case of listeria and lowest deaths in case of hepatitis A virus. So E. coli deaths is 78, listeria deaths 499, Shigella deaths 14, Norwalk virus deaths 124 and hepatitis A virus deaths 4. According to FDA food code, time for hand washing should be minimum 20 seconds with soap and warm water after chewing gum also. So according to FDA food code, proper time for hand washing is for minimum 20 seconds with soap and warm water after chewing gum also. 3 ways of cross contamination: food to food, equipments to food and people to food. How many ways cross contamination can be occurred? In 3 ways: food to food, equipments to food and people to food. 5 sources of cross contamination: other potentially hazardous food items, table and work surfaces, aprons, clothes and towels, trucks and carts, cardboard boxes and pellets. How many sources of cross contaminations are there? 5 sources. First is other potentially hazardous food items, second is tables and work surfaces, third is aprons, clothes and towels, fourth is trucks and carts, and fifth is cardboard boxes and pellets. AHACCP full form is Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. It is a scientific based systematic process. Identify the food safety hazards and control them. What do you mean by AHACCP? Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. It is science-based systematic process. Identify the food safety hazards and control them. Then moves to general guidelines for food storage. General guidelines for food storage. Food stores should be restricted to control stocks. Arrange the food supplies by using FIFO method. FIFO, full form first in, first out. Provides rotation of foods in the storage. Put the oldest or post-dated foods in front and newest in the back. Food stores should be restricted to control stocks. Arrange the food supplies by FIFO method, first in, first out. Provides rotation of foods in the storage and put the oldest or post-dated foods in front and newest in the back. Food stores should be restricted to control stocks. Which type of stock? Control stocks. FIFO method, first in, first out. Identify the date of package, date of preparation and date of purchase. Identify which type of dates: date of package, date of preparation and date of purchase. Inadequate storage conditions and equipments: dry storage and frozen storage. Frozen storage means freezers and refrigerator. inadequate storage separation of different food items, meats and vegetables, raw and cooked foods, frozen and dry foods. So inadequate storage conditions and equipments. Dry storage, two types of storage are there. How many types of storage are there? Two types of storage, dry storage and frozen storage. Under frozen storage there is freezers and refrigerators. Inadequate storage separation of different food items, meats and vegetables, raw and cooked foods, frozen and dry foods. Cross contamination in storage. To prevent the cross contamination by bacteria, store the raw food at the bottom of the fridge below cooked or ready to eat foods. Ready to eat foods should be above the raw foods. To prevent the cross contamination by bacteria, we should store the raw foods at the bottom of the fridge below the cooked or ready to eat foods. Three types of storage are there: refrigeration, freezer and dry storage. Refrigeration, 4 degrees Celsius or less than 4 degrees Celsius or 1 degree to 4 degrees Celsius temperature of storage units. Freezer, temperature of storage units is minus 15 degrees Celsius to or less than minus 18 degrees Celsius. Dry storage, 10 degrees Celsius to 21 degrees Celsius. So three types of storage units are there. Temperature of storage units, like for refrigerator, 4 degrees Celsius or less than 4 degrees Celsius or 1 degree to 4 degrees Celsius. Freezers, minus 15 degrees Celsius or minus 18 degrees Celsius or less than minus 18 degrees Celsius. And last is the dry storage, that is 10 to 21 degrees Celsius. Golden rule for storing any kind of foods is to keep it clean, covered, cool and dry. How many golden rules are there to store any kind of food items? How many golden rules? 4 golden rules are there: clean, covered, cool and dry. Clean, covered, cool and dry. 4. Clean. First is clean, second is covered, third is cool, fourth is dry. Refrigeration by a refrigerator. Short term holding of fresh perishable foods like meats, fish, vegetables and foods just above the freezing temperature. Storage life of foods is extended for only some days. Refrigeration unit should be placed in an airy and well ventilated place away from any source of heat. So refrigeration by a refrigerator, short term holding of fresh perishable foods. For which term? Short term. Refrigerator is used for short term. Perishable foods like meats, fish, vegetables, foods just above the freezing point or freezing temperature. Storage life of foods is extended up to some days. Storage life is extended up to only some days. Refrigeration unit should be placed in an airy and well ventilated place away from any source of heat. Refrigeration unit shouldn't be overcrowded with food items. Prepared food should be stored above the raw food. Green leafy vegetables should be stored in a special drawer in the refrigerator. Green leafy vegetables. Milk and dairy products should be covered tightly to prevent the absorption of odor. Milk and dairy products should be covered tightly in the refrigerator to prevent the absorption of odor. Otherwise, refrigerator can absorb the odor also. Refrigerator doors should be opened for the shortest time possible. All foods must be covered in clean containers. Don't cool the foods that are high in temperature in the refrigerator. If you will cool the foods that are in high temperature, they can cause frost formation and can increase the temperature inside the refrigerator. So don't cool the foods that are high in temperature. This can cause the frost formation inside the refrigerator and increase the temperature inside the refrigerator. Don't refrigerate canned and bottled foods unless specified on the label. So which type of foods cannot be refrigerated? Canned and bottled foods. Canned and bottled foods should not be refrigerated unless they are specified on the label. Defrost the refrigerator regularly. On which basis? On regularly. Defrost the refrigerator regularly. Date marking on the prepared foods held for more than 24 hours by food processing plants. Date marking when original container is opened. Date marking indicates when food will be eaten, when food will be eaten, food will be sold and food will be thrown out. Example of some refrigerated ready to eat potentially hazardous foods are meats, seafood, salads, cooked and chilled leftovers. So date marking on the prepared foods that are held in the refrigerator for more than 24 hours. Date marking should be done by food processing plants. When date marking is done when original container is opened. Date marking indicates the foods in which time the foods will be eaten, will be sold and will be thrown out. Example of some refrigerated ready to eat potentially hazardous foods. Refrigerated ready to eat potentially hazardous foods are meats, seaweed salads, seafood salads and cooked and chilled leftovers. Seafood salads.